Hey friend, Roger Christofferson here again with another first listen review, and this is one that I was very interested in getting, so I could babble about it because that's what I do. And when I first saw that it was announced and what it was, I was kind of wondering why. And I'm talking about John Fogerty and his album called Legacy, the Creedence Clearwater Revival Years. And the reason I say I wondered why, because why would he want to? I just didn't understand the purpose of it. So since then, I have come to very clearly understand the purpose of it. But it's funny how I kind of got to know Creedence and John Fogerty. It was back when I was first just getting into rock music and stuff. And The Old Man Down the Road was the single that came out. And I remember seeing the video for it and hearing it. I didn't really know anything about Creedence much at all anyway. And I heard that cool guitar riff and the singing, and that song just really struck a nerve with me. And I was hooked from that point on. And I was a big John Fogerty fan. And I got, that album. And Centerfield, even though, quite honestly, the song Centerfield is one of my least favorite songs of his, but there's some other cool songs. That was just a little bit too much pop for me. That's all it was. Still, I don't hate the song or anything, but I really like the other stuff a lot better. Even the deep tracks and all that, and songs like Zance Can't Dance, and which was the original version, and stuff like that. So I just was really into that. So I somewhere along the line I heard Born on a Bayou somewhere in this mix, which had that same feel. And I was like, ooh, that's kind of cool too. And from that point on, went and got all the Creedence stuff and just kind of, really dug deep into the Creedence catalog and just really became a big fan of the band from that point on. And, everybody probably knows the whole story of the legal battles that John Fogerty's had with the record company from back in those days. He wrote all those songs, produced all the songs, and he was very young, obviously, when he did all that, and signed a bad deal. And if I'm not mistaken, it was just here in 2023, he finally got the rights back to all the songs, because he's been fighting this for years and years, decades. And I know a few years ago, he even refused to play the songs for years because he didn't want the record company to be making money off of him being out there playing them. And at one point, several years ago, I don't remember exactly when, he decided he's going to go back and start playing them again. Done a couple live albums and releases, videos and stuff like that, where I really enjoyed those, where he was playing the old songs, the Creedence songs, mixed in with his own stuff, and I really enjoyed watching him play that. And so I like his way of doing that. He wrote all the stuff, and he's been doing it forever. So obviously I've really enjoyed that. So when I heard this was coming, I was kind of like, why? Why? Well, I didn't know he had already gotten the rights back to his songs. And kind of the idea, I guess, behind this one quickly is that and I've seen a couple of these videos on YouTube where he's playing with his family. He's got his family band, and they wanted to go back in and, do it as a family. And a couple other people, obviously had a couple other musicians come in and help out, but that was the main idea, I guess. And record the songs and actually do them as close to the original as they possibly could. And when I first listened to this, I actually didn't know all this information, and I just kind of listened to it going, yeah, this is cool and everything, but I just don't understand why. So, he didn't tried to change things at all. I mean, they really did their best to stick to the original. And I guess they joked about calling this the Taylor version, because Taylor Swift was very, adamant about going in and getting the rights back to her music, which she didn't get, the recordings anyway, but she has the rights to the publishing, which means she could go back and record them all herself. Def Leppard's done the same thing, and other bands are, kind of slipping my mind right now, have done it, and this went back in and re-recorded it exactly the same way they did it originally, and they have their version of it. So they kind of jokingly, I guess, called this the Taylor version of the Creedence songs. So it kind of makes sense now. And I really did enjoy listening to this album, and they really did stick very closely to the originals. The arrangements, like the song lengths, this instrumentation, they did a very good job sticking to the original. And there's actually a few songs on here that I I didn't really remember. I didn't. There's a couple that I was like, oh yeah, I have to go back and check out the original, because there's a couple on here that were deeper tracks than I was used to listening to, even though I've heard them all. It's been a very long time since I've sat down with if I'm being honest, a very long time since I listened to any Creedence CDs from beginning to end, probably several years. So I guess he didn't even really want to do this to begin with, but I guess they gave it a shot, and it worked. And there's 20 songs on here. This isn't really a long album. It's about an hour long. It was right about that long that I heard, that I remember. But anyway, it starts in with Up Around the Bend, which actually the first time I heard this song was Hanoi Rocks, or Hanoi Rocks, however people choose to say that one. I heard the song, but very close to original. And it kind of continues on through. The only real thing I've noticed is that, yes, John does sound very similar to how he did when he was younger. His voice can still hit all those notes. He just sounds a little bit more mature. It's got a little bit, and I don't say old, it's just he's got like a little bit more control over the voice. He hasn't got the youthful whine that some of those earlier ones had. But as I was listening to it, I'm like, yeah, these songs are very, very close, until I got to like Born on a Bayou. It's had a little bit more energy to it, I thought. Even though I love that song, this one just seemed like it had more focus. And the exact same feeling I had with Run Through the Jungle. This one just seems like it had more of a cleaner, the recording, things have changed over the years, techniques and whatever have changed, so obviously it's not going to sound exactly the same, but this one I think benefited from it probably the most out of all the songs, quite honestly. I know a lot of people love the song. It was one that I always thought was okay, but on this version of it, I actually really enjoyed this version of it. For some reason, I just caught the vibe a little different. Bands can go in and they can play the same song 10 times in a row, and the vibe will be different every single take. This one just seems like it caught the vibe really good. The songs that I did not remember, quite honestly, I may sound stupid saying this, but Someday Never Comes. I had a hard time remembering that song when it started playing, so my point of reference to thinking what this sounded like was very bad, because I couldn't even remember what song this was. And then of course there's Porterville, and Hey Tonight sounded great on here. One of my favorite songs that they ever did was Lodi. I actually have a song on one of my old band's CDs that was actually really inspired by Lodi. It sounds absolutely nothing like Lodi, but a lyric idea I had was started from the song Lodi, and it turned out to be one of my band's favorite songs. So actually Creedence was a very big influence on one of my songs, so that we had played for years and years and years. So it's kind of a cool thing to hear it again on here. And then I'm not going to go through every single song here, but also Don't Look Now was one I just did not remember, so I didn't have any point of reference at all on there. But of course it ends with the really big songs. Although Creedence had so many hits, it's hard to say which one was really the most well-known. But for me, they have Down on Corner, Bad Moon Rising, Traveling Band, Green River, and Fortunate Son, all bang right in a row. And I was just singing along. I was actually had this in my truck driving around listening to it last night, and man, you can't help but sing along to these songs. You just can't. I had really, really, really enjoyed listening to this album, and even though at that point in time I just got it, just stuck it in, started playing it, didn't read up anything, didn't check the liner notes, no nothing. I just popped it in and started listening. Even though I was understanding why he had done it at that point in time, really loving the music, really loving this album. So I get it now. I'm glad I did a little bit of looking up and research, and I'm just a little bit on this, is now I get it and I can enjoy it even more, even though I was enjoying it even not knowing that information. So anyway, that's enough babbling for me on this one. As always, I welcome any comments. What do you guys think of this one? What do you think about the whole John fighting for his own music for all these years? I think that's absolutely insane how some of these people got I've heard him for so many years going on, and ever since I first discovered John Fogerty, he's actually wrote this one song I mentioned earlier, Zants Can't Dance, was written about the guy that ripped him off. So I've known about this right from the start, and just, all these years later, finally got his rights back. So anyway, cool way to end things. Hope they keep recording. I wouldn't mind hearing some new stuff. They sound real good. It's one of those albums that makes me want to go check out the YouTube videos of him and his family band there and see what they've been up to. I've only caught a couple, but this really made me want to go back and see if I can find some more. So it's probably what I'm going to do, but always ready and willing and waiting to hear some new music. So like, share, and subscribe to keep this music alive, because I want to hear some more stuff from these guys. But until then, we'll see you.